Yo, what's good? Griffin13 here back in today, and today, guys, we are taking a look at this brand new vehicle that was brought here into Forza Horizon 4, and that is the 2019 Hennessy Ford Velociraptor 6x6. This thing is an absolute beauty. It is a work of art. All 6x6s are, in my opinion. These things are absolutely amazing machines. They just are. They are truly incredible. Now, we already have one 6x6 in the game, and that is the Mercedes G Wagon, and in my honest opinion, that vehicle didn't really do all that well. So what I want to be doing today is I want to take the Velociraptor here, and I want to compare it to the G Wagon and see if the 6x6 Velociraptor is any better than the 6x6 G Wagon, just to kind of see if this might actually be a vehicle that we can drive, or is it going to be something that's going to sit in our garages and just look pretty, because it sure does look pretty, doesn't it? Oh, I wish we could get wheels like that on the rest of the off-road vehicles in this game. Those are some pretty damn nice wheels. Of course, this also has Fox upgraded shocks. It also has a 600 horsepower twin turbo EcoBoost V6. However, though, Hennessy has added the additional option of a 5-liter V8, which produces 758 horsepower, and I'm sure they're probably going to add more power to it, as Ford is now thinking about putting in a 7.2-liter V8 into the Ford Raptor, which would become a standard engine in this vehicle. So it is quite possible that one day we will see a Velociraptor with even more power, and that is pretty damn awesome. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. So we're going to start things off here with the 6x6 Mercedes G Wagon and see how this thing handles on a dirt course. And then we're going to compare it to the Ford Velociraptor. But can I just say, the 6x6 is still kind of ugly, or I keep calling it the 6x6. The G Wagon, in my opinion, is kind of an ugly vehicle. I don't really get why they're so expensive. I know it's a Mercedes, but I want one. I know I want one, and that's really all that really matters. But I want one because it's a good off-road handling vehicle. Most people want one because they're going to drive it around Beverly Hills, and that's not what I plan on doing with it. But without further ado, let's actually take a look with what this vehicle can do. So for starters, I will go ahead and mention that I did upgrade the power here on the 6x6 up to around 610 horsepower, which puts it on par with what the Velociraptor is making, because this was originally down in B class and only producing 550 horsepower, and I thought it might not be a good comparison to basically have two vehicles that had little differences in horsepower and little differences in class, and testing them out against each other. Now, one of the things that is a big problem with the 6x6 Mercedes is it has a very, very wide turning radius. As you guys will see right here, I luckily was able to get through there, but at a very, very slow rate of speed. Now, we're going to come up here to one of these corners on the dirt section, and I'm going to take it how I normally would with any other vehicle, right? A little bit of a turn, and as you guys will see, I am so wide, I hit a wall. In most vehicles, I could have made that turn very, very easily. Otherwise, you have to slow down to a just incredibly slow speed in order to get the Mercedes G Wagon to really do anything. Now, most off-road vehicles would have no problem whatsoever, but this car is a long boy. I mean, look how long this fucker is. I mean, he is just super freaking long, and that, of course, leads it to having a very, very wide turning radius. Now, the Velociraptor, I believe, is even longer, because this is based off an SUV with a small truck bed. That's an actual freaking pickup that we're going to be comparing it with, but from my initial driving around in it, I think it might be better, but I haven't really done an actual test yet, which is what we're about to do right now. So now we've got the 2019 Ford Velociraptor, and overall, I think that this is a much better vehicle to drive. It just does exceptionally better. Now, this is stock. This hasn't been upgraded. The Mercedes actually had an additional upgrade to give it some additional power, but this overall does feel like a better thing to drive. It also doesn't seem to have as much problem with understeer as the Mercedes does, even though the vehicle, I believe, is actually longer than the Mercedes. As we come up here to this corner, you'll actually see, you know, we can come through this corner almost pretty regularly. We're going to get a little bit understeer though, as it does still have a little bit of that problem. It's not as pronounced, I would say, as it is in the Mercedes, but it is definitely an improved feel. As we go around this corner, I'll take this like I would any other vehicle, and you can see we don't go wide at all. We actually stay within the track, and it's not as big of a problem now, as you guys see right there. I do end up going a little bit wide. So it does have a little bit of an understeer problem, but it's definitely not as pronounced as it is in the Mercedes. As you guys will see as well right here, we will actually go wide as well. So it does have a little bit of an issue. I wouldn't necessarily use this over certain vehicles, like maybe a stock F-150 Raptor, but it is not a bad option. It is definitely not a bad option, to say the least. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some upgrade features on this. It only gets one cosmetic upgrade, and that is the typical Forza truck tailgate, where you can get a spare tire mounted. Nothing too typical. I do actually prefer the standard option with just the simple roll bar. I think that looks the best on this truck in general. But, you know, let's also talk about some of these other parts, because I am coming out with a video on Friday, so actually before this one comes out, where we talk about some off-road upgrades. And as you can see, this thing has got a nice off-road rear bumper. It's got some nice fender flares, although those are pretty standard with a Ford Raptor, although granted the rear ones have to be custom since it is a 6x6. We come over here to the front and we have a very nice off-road bumper, which reminds me a lot of the ADD Honeycomb one. You also have great suspension system, which are your Fox 2.0 coilovers on a nice lift kit, and you can actually see the springs on this truck, which is really nice. And you can also see we have them on the rear. Now, it's not a perfect representation of what that lift kit actually is, as there's actually some reservoirs that come standard on those that you don't actually see. But we'll go ahead and ignore that for now. But overall, it looks pretty damn good cosmetically. In my opinion, it actually looks a lot better than the G Wagon. So when we come over here to engines, we get two options. We have the 7.2 liter racing V8, or you can get a twin turbo V6 racing. Now, it comes standard with a twin turbo EcoBoost V6, but I am going to, of course, upgrade it with a 7.2 liter V8. Now, this is actually going to become an actual option on the regular Ford Raptor. It's been rumored anyway that this is going to become an option, that we'll see a V8 version of the Raptor, because currently you can only get it in a V6. And of course, because it's Hennessy, we're going to throw a goddamn supercharger on it, which now brings our power output all the way up to, if it'll actually work, 1,070 horsepower, which makes this thing a true Hennessy vehicle at this point. Let's go ahead and throw some additional upgrades on it. We can take the tires all the way up to a 14-inch. We're going to stick with 13s though for now. We're not going to go too big here, because 14 is just way too much for this vehicle. I think 14 wides are crazy in general. Some people put them on like trucks like mine. They really do, and I think that is an absolute travesty. So now that we've got all this power though, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we can brake properly and get some of these upgrades on here. We might be able to take it all the way up to an S1 class vehicle, and then we'll go ahead and see how it actually performs in a real race. We did just lose a bunch of freaking weight. Let's see here. So no, we are definitely not going to be able to actually get this up to an S1 class. So maybe we should stick with the EcoBoost. We'll see how that goes. Let's go back down here to the EcoBoost, right? And we'll just upgrade the power from there. Instead of having 1,000 horsepower, we'll keep it down and like just the regular old A class, and we'll make sure that it's got plenty of nice upgrades there. So we're already up to, what are we at now? We're at 849 horsepower, which is pretty damn good. But we want to make this a good A-class racing vehicle. So there we go. We've got it up to A-class 8800. Good to go. We'll throw a nice quick tune on it and see how it actually performs in a race. So this vehicle is classified as a typical off-roader, which puts it in league with things like the Colorado, the Ranger Raptor, the regular Raptor, as well as a few other vehicles, of course. So let's go ahead and see how this vehicle actually can perform on its own. I've got it tuned up to A800. I threw a little tune on it. There were some little discrepancies I saw that were very interesting in the base tune. For example, like, it was getting 100% on every single wheel for acceleration and deceleration, and I found that kind of odd. It's very, very interesting to say the least. So we'll see how this does with my tune on it, and if this does well, I'll go ahead and throw my tune up on the storefront so you guys can go ahead and pick it up if you like. But let's go ahead and get this race started, see how this vehicle can actually do. Let's get on into it. Come on, go Ford Velociraptor, go, go, go. And we're off. We didn't lose any position. In fact, we're actually going to gain a couple of positions right there. Alright, we gained 1 or 2. As you guys can see, we still got a little bit of understeer. But we're not doing too bad. We're not doing too bad. The one thing is, though, this is a big, big vehicle. So, like, when you, like, hit the competition on this, like, they just move out of your way, like a normal truck hitting, like, a Mini Cooper or something like that. It's absolutely crazy, as you guys can see, like, right here. We're going to purposely hit this guy. Like, look how quickly he just got out of the way. That is absolutely insane. We lost some positions doing that move, but I'm actually feeling pretty confident we'll be able to make them up. No sweat. Alright, here we go. Come on, Velociraptor! 850 horsepower. Let's see what you can do. Come on, keep going, push it, push it. Oh my god, this thing's pretty damn good. I will say that. It's got a little bit understeer, so it's not going to be my first choice, but it's not that bad. It's really, really not that bad, and that's surprising. I thought this thing was going to be terrible to drive, but its turning radius is actually surprisingly good for a vehicle of its size. Hennessy did a damn good job at designing this vehicle. I don't know if it does have four-way steering. It kind of feels like maybe it does, and Forza is trying to simulate that a little bit. I know it definitely doesn't in the game. I tested that out earlier. I don't think they actually have a system truly in place to show four-way steering. But here we go. We're going to push that Raptor into a wall. We have quite a bit understeer, as you saw right there. But now we are up in the first place. It's not doing too bad at all. Alright, here we go. Onto the main road, understeering again into the goddamn fence. But it looks like we're going to end up taking the dub if we can keep this position. Alright, come on. Come on, big boy. Let's see what you got. Final lap. Final lap. Let's just go ahead and enjoy this vehicle for what it is. We're going to throw it around with a little bit of handbrake action there. It does respond a little bit too much for the handbrake from what I was expecting it would. I was thinking it was going to, you know, maybe slide, and maybe driving this using the handbrake might be a little bit of a better option to get some better steering in place, because you can throw it around like that and get a little bit of a better angle and not have to deal with as much oversteer. That might be the way to drive it. I don't know exactly. This corner is always bad for vehicles that oversteer, but we make it through no problem at some exceptionally slow speeds. We're coming up here to our second to last corner. Ooh, we're understeering really bad. All right, come on. Come on. Final stretch. Let's go. We're going to take home the dub, my dudes. We're going to take home the dub. Oh, yes. This Velociraptor is pretty damn awesome. If you guys haven't got around to working with it, I highly recommend you go ahead and do so. So anyway, though, that's where we're going to wrap things up for today. Leave a comment down below and let me know, what do you guys think of the Hennessy Velociraptor so far? Do you love it or do you hate it? I'm curious to hear what you guys got to say. As well, if you guys want to, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at twitter.com/Scriver413 and Instagram.com/Scriver413. And if you guys like this video, go and make sure to hit that like button down below for us, because you guys already know your support is so greatly appreciated. And make sure to subscribe for more videos coming out all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.